What am I in today? Well, I think I'm in one of the ultimate people movers you could ever find, thanks to the good folks over at Orangeville Honda. Jamie, Haley, Chris, and big thanks to Mark Smith, their sales professional, who took me on a walk around on this vehicle and showed me all the lovely details. So if you want to check out this vehicle, of course any other vehicles on the Tuesday test drive, do like and subscribe to the channel. But if you want to take a look at a Honda Odyssey, now's your chance. So the one that I'm filming here in the showroom is not the one that I'm driving right now. Here's the one that I'm driving. You can see pulling up outside the car dealership. This one here is an EX model. Now the EX model also has other optional equipment. Now the one in the showroom though, that one there is the full-on touring package. It's got all the bells and whistles, the leather interior, navigation, all the bells and whistles on that touring model. And the one that I'm driving now doesn't have as much equipment, but it does have the same engine and drivetrain. They all come with a 3.5 liter V6, the same V6 you find in all the Hondas. It's a workhorse of an engine, very reliable. But now they all have a 10-speed automatic transmission, which is kind of cool. And you do notice one of the biggest differences for 2022, and there has been a refresh for this model year, you'll notice that the front headlights, the front head cluster has changed. It's got this lovely waterfall design that I really like. Now, I just think it's great that I happen to be wearing one of my dad's old ties today, because I am not a father, but if I needed a minivan, I would get what I used to call the BMW of minivans, which is this vehicle, the Honda Odyssey. And you'll see one of the features that we have on this touring model is a cabin watch, which you can actually, via video, see what's happening in the rear of your vehicle, which is a really great feature, I gotta say, and it just shows you where the tech is going nowadays. And speaking of tech, just the interior alone on the Honda, I mean, it's a Honda interior, so bells and whistles, yes, galore. Plastics, the touchability of everything feels really great, especially the leather. The leather on the steering wheel feels wonderful. Great steering wheel setup, got all my controls in the right spaces. The dashboard, very clear and easy to read, and I actually really like that sort of halo effect of the blue colorizing on the rear and sort of the background lighting on the screen. Now, as far as the center console, or the entertainment system, if you want to call it that, lots of stuff going on here, lots of equipment, and as you can see as I cycle through the pattern, you can see you even have cabin talk, by the way. Not only do you have cabin view, but you have cabin talk. And there are a set of headsets for the entertainment system, so you can actually speak to the occupants on the headset using that feature. And then of course, like I mentioned, the touring model does have the video view as well. Now the screen here has a dedicated home button. Love it, gotta have that. But most importantly, because I guess apparently I'm a geezer now, I really do like buttons on a center console, because here in our northern hemisphere in Canada, I do want heated and adjustable heated seats and steering wheel to be at a glance or at a touch, or at least pre-programmable. But all of these kind of quick touch buttons here, along with also the park reverse neutral drive. I know not everyone loves push button transmissions, but believe it or not, it's not a new idea. Back in the 50s and 60s, they had push button transmissions rather than a column of any kind, and it really does clean up the area. Now we have a full sort of like open area here between the driver and passenger, not to mention leaves more space at the back. And talk about packaging on this vehicle. You'll see the packaging on the inside is fantastic, because what we can do is we can actually slide the rear just behind the driver here on the driver's side and on the passenger side. You technically have 3 separated seats. And as you can see here, Mark was kind enough to show me how you can remove the center portion and then slide either chair over and bring it to the center, which means that you have a side completely open for, we'll say, ingress and egress, getting in and out. But that's kind of interesting, because actually, if you think about it, if you knew based on your family size that we're always going to use the right-hand side of the vehicle, that center console, you might want to take that out permanently, just so that you can slide the 2 seats together and always have that easy access. Perhaps there's a member of the family that needs easier access inside the vehicle, that type of thing. So really, as usual, very well thought out. And I really like the way those seats line up as well. They're also very comfortable, and they all have an armrest, which is fantastic as well. And then the other part that is also really cool is in the rear of the vehicle. And of course you can, like many of the vehicles nowadays, if you got the bells and whistles on it, you can kick open the rear hatch, as you can see Mark doing here. But most importantly, check out how these seats drop. You can see by a pull of the tag, you can see that the seat drops, and then the second row, same thing. Again, super feature. And whether you want to use that big hole in the bottom for just more stuff and leave the seats up, completely up to you. So again, everything in this vehicle is really about making it work for you. And much like the bells and whistles on a sports car, taking off the top and all that other stuff, well, this has maybe not the sexiest additional features, but when you talk about the usability of a family with all the additional equipment, man, it really just puts everything together in the package. And again, if you look at the interior, again, the interior is top notch. Where all the plastic and the seams come together, it's all very, very, very well designed. And you can see how this sort of material here on the dash with the gloss black and this sort of like sort of a faux metal sort of a trim. But when it comes down to all the additional features, I think the convenience features of the Odyssey are probably the ones that stand out most to me. I'm gonna hit the accelerator here. I already passed the limit, so I got to slow down. That didn't take very long, and I cleared 100 kilometers per hour here, and it is a 100 kilometer per hour zone. But more to the point, just because you got a minivan doesn't mean you ain't going fast. And with the V6 and the 10-speed automatic, this vehicle really does get up and go. And it is, it's always impressive for me to feel how fast something this big can be, especially coming from a sports car. And Honda actually made the packaging on the vehicle a little bit simplified. Now there aren't so many options. There's about a distance of 10 grand between the base model and the fully loaded model that we have here in the showroom. But what does that 10 grand get you? It's a lot of those types of bells and whistles, your leather, your navigation, not to mention the fact that you have a lot of other little bells and whistles that when you all add them up, maybe they're important to you, but maybe they're not. And if all you want is the safety, the convenience, the minivan, you can get the base model. But if you want to have a few more bells and whistles, you want to have some of those power and convenience options, or maybe the family's a little bit older, so we can do with leather interior, maybe spruce it up a little bit. I can totally see why this is still a great seller. You know, every time I drive a minivan, I feel the same way, which is, I get why people like these. Like, I've never really needed a minivan. I don't have a family, but I can totally see where at some point an SUV, it just isn't big enough. You can't fit everything into it. I always remind people that if you need a lot of space, an SUV doesn't really provide you with a lot of space unless you get into a really, really, really big SUV, and then you get into some really big dollars. But if you got a family, but you also want to bring the dog on the weekend to the cottage, then that's definitely something that a minivan's going to do for you, and that's why minivans do so well. Top to bottom, the difference in price between the base model and the top of the line model will definitely give you some options, but they've really simplified those options in the last little while with this model of vehicle. You don't have to get the navigation if you don't want to, and I think that's a really, really great decision made by Honda so that they can package up the vehicle for the appropriate client. And if the client wants to have leather and all the bells and whistles and camera to see their kids and all that sort of stuff, you can get that. But if you just want the size, the space, the safety, still get the same engine, still get the same transmission, all the safety bells and whistles are there. So yeah, really a bunch of great options. And if you need to know more options, definitely talk to the great folks here at Orangeville Honda, and specifically, definitely have a chat with Mark Smith. Mark's a great sales rep. He gave me a lot of great little detail on this vehicle, and being a family man, he knows his vehicle pretty well inside and out, so a little bit better than I. So he'll be able to give you a lot more information. But if you want to see some more Tuesday test drives, feel free to give it a visit on the YouTube channel, The Tuesday Test Drive. Like and subscribe, and sure enough, share. See you next time.